crazy they did. So the whole downtown St. George,
Right.
see far away.
Yeah.
Not, it's all right. It's very busy. Very busy.
And then Nina Doxey.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nina Doxey and her husband, who did us filming.
It's a good time. That's for sure.
Monty Warwaller, who does all our filming at the Todd.
It's the 65-degree weather that can handle every day.
Right.
Through the winter.
There's a bottle of water that we sell at all the games.
That's what he's packed.
But I'll do that every year. Water for the races and everything. Keeps texting and saying, hey, get 3 more.
I got 2 seconds. Oh,
You're
sorry.
good. You're fine. You're fine.
Right up on the front row.
See if we can give you some room there, Brian.
Oh, that's okay.
Because I can't go back.
Randy and I are close.
We're good. We're good.
We're friends.
We are the best of frenemies.
So we had a lot of people cancel. So
Actually, I'm going to miss Randy.
I'm gonna miss Brian. One more after this. One more.
Yeah.
who is that sitting next to Tiger?
Well, you're leaving on a note in which the sales tax is up.
That's true. That just means people are spending more money, or at least they did. They did.
Well, they have.
They have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
No, I know it moves, but that's a big swing.
It
If it
is.
was down 0.43 and moved to
2.6.
2.5, 2.6, that's, geez, that's a 3%.
That's a 3% drop.
That's,
It was interesting.
that's really good.
They have what's called the Utah Population Committee.
Yeah. Right.
It's a
Tennessee
gateway for the
Gardner. Yeah.
census.
Yeah.
And they actually added more bodies to Roy residents than
Oh,
so when
then that maybe,
Is that what
it helps the calculation.
pops up?
And with the additional residential units going in, that's going to
Right.
lower that residential. Because that's what,
Yeah, we feel it.
Yeah. All down like 56.
yeah, that's positive.
Another question is this one.
that means somebody's buying apartments.
Yeah. Just want to make sure that reached right.
I always do it.
All right. Is that because at first I was last time I was like, Hubbard. Yes. Oh, that is yuck. That's quite.
Tart. What is it? Just a Crystal Light packet?
Yes. But I have gum.
Caffeine too. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Brittany, you ready?
I am ready when you are.
Okay, thank you for joining us. This is the Roy City Council meeting for December 2nd, 2025. The time is now 5:30. I would like to recognize that we have Councilmember Saxton, Councilmember Wilson, Councilmember Paul, Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Scadden, and we have our youth council member, Davison. Thanks for joining us. Okay, it's good to have you. He's going to share some information with us tonight, so we're excited to hear that. We've asked Councilmember Paul if she'll go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Sophie?
Please join me in a moment of silence and remember to keep the Gwen family in your thoughts. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge.
Thank you, Sophie. Okay, this is our public comment period. We don't have any consent items, so we'll jump right into public comments. Let me just make a comment before we jump into this. We do have a public hearing that's going to be required, and specifically dealing with the two property issues that Roy is considering in Resolution 25-30 and 25-31, those two resolutions. So if you'd like to make comments, you can certainly do that during the public comment period, but we're holding a public hearing specifically to allow you to have public input on these two resolutions. So you may want to consider sharing those comments during that period of time. Other than that, public comments, if you can give us your name, your address, and try to keep it to 4 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody like to share a thought? Thank you. Name and address, please.
All right. Hello, I am Deanne Chaston, 3751 West, 5575 South.
Thank you.
Looking at the official voting results accepted during the last council meeting, it is clear to see that Roy is a city divided. Look no further than the results of the mayoral race, where the results were 52% to 48%. A mere 278 votes separated the two candidates. What were the major issues that divided them? The answer is simple. First, taxes. Second, residents not feeling heard or valued. In the meantime, the bickering between the City Council and the Planning Commission is very plain to see. This is further dividing the city. I have heard from a few incoming council members that they would like to heal this. I hope that catches on. How can you heal this divide? Well, maybe not some of the lame ducks, but some of the others here. I have 6 suggestions. Number 1, choose carefully who you appoint to fill the upcoming city council vacancy. Consider giving a voice to that 48% of the voters who returned their ballots. Help that half of our city feel valued and heard. Next, likewise, our new mayor should carefully choose who she appoints to fill the upcoming Planning Commission vacancy, and the new city council members should advocate for transparency when ratifying her decision. I personally am disappointed that the process appointing new planning commissioners is done outside the public purview. From what I can tell, the public was never told who applied for the last vacancy and is not able to witness the associated interviews. How can the public be assured that the mayor is not packing the commission with only those who share her same views, which the election results show does not represent half the city? I personally would like to see the city council members have a more direct role in choosing new planning commissioners. Third, put a lot of thought into survey questions that the City Council pledged to distribute citywide. The city surveyed its citizens in 2016 and again in 2021. Given that frequency, it looks like Roy is overdue for another survey. The Y2 Analytics survey that was administered in 2021 had 814 respondents, which was considered statistically significant and a good response rate by industry standards. If 814 is statistically significant, then the 889 who signed the recent tax referendum, and the 714 who signed the building height referendum should be also. The council should not overlook the public sentiment shared in the 2 referendums that took place this year. Therefore, the future survey should at least address taxes and downtown building heights. Fourth, regarding the budget, learn from the past that you should start working on this now during regular work sessions. I would suggest having 1 or 2 department heads per work session present their budgetary needs and wants to you and the public. Please note that those signing the referendum are not and have never been against paying public safety a fair wage. They are against wasteful spending in other bloated areas of the departmental budgets. Pay attention to needs versus wants, and survey results may be able to help you. Fifth, instead of criticizing residents' soda intake, please take seriously their real concerns that entities like Roy City are taxing many residents out of their homes. They would rather see cuts in services than increases in their property taxes. Show them that you've actually considered that, because they haven't been convinced yet. Last, coordinate better with the Planning Commission. You would do well to learn from other cities who place a regular, long-standing item on each agenda, specifically to get a quick recap on the previous commission meeting's agenda and resulting decisions. This should be done by a staff member who actually attended both meetings. You should be relying on staff who attends both City Council and Planning Commission meetings to be a significant part of this process. So in conclusion, consider making the council and commission appointments very wisely, surveying your residents, starting the budget process now, considering carefully any tax increases, and improving relations with the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought? Name and address, please.
Ty Chaston, 3751 West, 5575 South. So I first want to say ditto to what my wife said. I've got a little bit more of a different direction. I emailed all of you about 4800 South roundabout, the Jeep parking on the park strip. It's pretty difficult for bus drivers, I'm sure other drivers, to go around that roundabout and see that Jeep sitting there and missing the vehicles that are coming out of the neighborhood as you're headed eastbound. It's a pretty big concern. I don't know if something's been taken care of, but today the Jeep wasn't parked there. It was actually parked in the driveway where it belongs. The other concern with that property is the chickens that just run wild. I know we have chicken ordinances that you can have them, but they're supposed to be contained in their shelter, and so there's definitely some concern there. I know that there's other areas of concern, but this one just is a major one because the last thing we need is an accident there. The other concern is the crossing guards on 6,000. The new roundabout down there, as I drive that every day, driving bus, it hasn't slowed anybody down. In fact, it's actually speed people up. There's nothing really slowing them down. And we've been missing crossing guards there. I know that we have one down towards the bottom by the roundabout. I know that she's had some surgical issues, and the process of that being, I've seen probably 2 weeks straight that there have been no crossing guards at the one on 2200 and the one down by the roundabout. And there's one kid that's on a bike every morning. He's almost been hit twice. So I have some major concerns on that, and that's why I sent the email to everybody. My wife did bring up the Planning Commission, and I seeing what other cities do. It's the city manager and the city planner that are supposed to be responsible of approving agenda items, assembling the agenda packets, and getting more context and research and minutes excerpts into that. I've been to other city councils where the city planner actually gets up and talks to the city council about what took place so that the questions can be asked and answered, so that the issue with the parking that came up in the last meeting, you'd actually have more information, and so would we as residents, so we don't have to go look at the Planning Commission, come back to the city council and look at YouTube long links of information to disseminate where is this information and how is it going, and you know, there needs to be some resolve, and the residents know us. You know, the 600 votes that came in for me, they're all asking me, So that's pretty significant when you see that many people saying, just because I'm getting up here and saying ditto is because last time we heard that, oh, we took so many people that said nay to this and yay to this. Well, guess what? When I got up and spoke, I was talking for like 600 people. So every time that someone gets up here, we're not trying to reiterate. That's why I said ditto. Otherwise, it'd just be saying a repeat information, and there's other people here that probably get up and say the same thing. Lastly, with the survey, there are multiple ways that we can get the information out there so that statistically we can get more than 6,000 people that was emailed last time. There's the newsletter, there's utility bills, there's city website, there's Facebook. I think there's multiple ways that instead of just getting 6,000 people, maybe we can get more around the 38,000 and get a better survey of what residents really want and know what the majority is. I got 10 seconds, so I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay, name and address, please.
Dennis Brown. First of all, I came to the lighting ceremony last week, and I thought it was very nice. So thank you very much for the nice lighting ceremony. Very, very nice. And the kids were just so fun to watch and hear sing. Number two, I was able to get my questions answered by Matt. Thank you very much for the answers I got last week. I just have a couple of comments. There's already been talk about taxes this coming year. A year ago at this time, I stood up and spoke to the council. I mentioned that there was between 60 and 70 homes that was taken off of 5,600 and 6,000 that we would not be collecting property tax for this last year. And I don't know what the count's going to be this year with all the new condos going up and things like that, but my recommendation is to the council that you try and have, maybe you already do this, some sort of reconciliation, maybe by month, with Matt. Where does the fire department, where are we at on the budget? So if we start getting behind in our tax collections versus our expenses, you can start making some adjustments during the year, and maybe you're already doing that, but don't wait until next November and see a crisis happening. As a business owner and someone who's managed a business for many years, I never waited till the end of the year to try and adjust my payroll. I was always looking at payroll every month, almost every week. So keep that in mind. And then one last thing I have to say is that in your thoughts towards approving these new apartments and condominiums down on Midland Drive and around 4,000, I don't know the exact locations. As a council, have you asked the fire department or the police department, if we put in 400 units, will it take more men to take care of those? And if it will, what's the cost going to be? And the other question is, what will the tax revenue be for those 400 billions? Is the income greater than the expense? And I know you have to have fire and you have to have police for apartments and condos. I understand that, but you might want to have an idea of what's the expenses versus the income projections, and they should be honest, good, truthful projections on what's going to happen. I know we have some projects down on 6,000 South where I live, and I'm not opposed to that. And I've had property that I've came here 4 or 5 years ago to have condos put on, and luckily after several meetings I was able to get those passed. But what's the expenses versus the income? I think as a council you should probably have a good idea what that's going to be. As far as water expenses, sewer, and things like that. That's all I have to say. Please consider some of the things I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Yeah, you can come through that gate. There you go. Name and address, please.
Elizabeth Brown, 4997 South.
Pull the mic down just a little bit so we can hear.
Elizabeth Brown, 4997 South, 1950 Western Roy. I have a question to ask you. You're building all those condos, all those apartments. I'm a resident of Roy. there's not a cemetery for me to go into. I have to go to South Ogden. When are you building a cemetery? That's more important than condos and apartments.
Just so you understand, this is your 4 minutes. Speak whatever you want. We'll try to address some of your questions as
When
we
is
get
the
to the end.
cemetery being built?
Cemetery, okay? Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we just want to make sure that if you take your 4 minutes, it's your minutes. Please speak on any topic you want. It's important that you have that moment. And then when we're done with this part of it, we'll try to see if we can answer a little bit before we move into the other agenda items. So anybody else like to share a thought?
Janelle Hulbert, 4178 Westlake Drive, Roy, Utah. I just wanted to say thank you to a couple of the organizations in the city. Thank you so much to the fire department that helped the scout troop put up flags and take them down. That was much appreciated, and they worked with the troop very nicely, and I know that the kids really enjoyed that experience and hope to be able to do it in the future. And then also, I loved the tree lighting ceremony, brought my 2 little ones. They got to see Santa and all the gingerbread houses, some of those were very impressive. I don't know how people chose the winner because there were some really impressive gingerbread houses. And anyway, we just appreciate all the work that went into all of those things, and just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm writing all this down, so I'm going to make sure I cover everything. Thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay. Thank you for your public comments. It's always important to get your ideas and your thoughts out in front of the city council as well as the public on important things. So there are a number of things here that will probably take a lot more detail, and we certainly want to make sure that that we look at each of your options and the ideas. But let me just cover a couple of things that were brought up. First thing is that by law, the city council selection, there will be an appointment that will take place. In light of Councilmember Jackson being selected as the new mayor, that will create a vacancy. The city will post that announcement of that vacancy and entertain all individuals who are eligible to submit if they want to be considered. That will take place. It happened the last time. But please watch the city website because that's where the information will be posted. And if you have an interest in wanting to apply for that position sometime in January, by the way, the law says within 30 days that it has to happen. So it's going to move rather quickly in January. So if you have an interest, you may watch for that and apply. Second thing that's important would be is those interviews are public. The law is very clear. They can't be in private. And so more than likely right here, somebody who's interviewing will step up and they'll go through a selection and the questions will be asked and the individual interested will answer on the mic in a public meeting. That is the law. And so it's happened a couple of times before since I've been here, and this all been public. And to me, that's very odd because I've interviewed hundreds of people in my days and never did that in a public meeting. But the law says for these positions it has to be, and so it will be a public meeting more than likely here. And as far as the planning commissioner's selection, and that's a good question, the mayor under the law basically has responsibility to make the appointment of that. And so there will be an announcement that goes out, as it always has. If you have an interest in wanting to apply for a planning commission position, please apply. It's pretty simple. And then the mayor will go through all the applicants and make a selection on those candidates. Sometimes it's 2, 1 or 2, however many. And then it has to be appointed in a public meeting because the law says it has to be reviewed and consent of the city council. So the mayor may make the selection, but the law says the council has to approve it. They can't make any changes to it. If they say they don't like the appointment, then they can certainly go up there and say, we don't like this appointment, but they can't offer an alternative. It just means the mayor has to come back and make another recommendation to the council for approval on the planning commission. So All of those are public, has to be public, and have always been public, so just be aware of that, okay? And if you have an interest in doing either of those, watch for that, because we do like to get people engaged in both the council as well as planning commission assignments that we have. Those are important. Thank you for the positive comments. A lot of fun these last lighting ceremonies and things that take place. We had a great time with those. I'm hoping that the public survey, we've talked about that. I'm hoping that the next city council will consider doing that. We've already made contact with Weber State University, who's willing to administer it. I think the kind of questions like taxes and building height and all the kinds of things that are important should be considered, and that would make for a very healthy survey going into the next. And I've said to this public meeting, and I'll certainly say it again tonight, it helps the city council to know the interests of the public if, in fact, we have a survey. And so those surveys can be very valuable to us. So we certainly want to look at those. So we'll do more, and then we'll take a look at the issues dealing with how we can interface better with the city planning operation, the planning commission particularly. But thank you for your inputs. Those are important. Let me just make a comment about this, the cemetery. Thanks for the comment. We're going to have a conversation in this meeting tonight, hopefully that deals with that. So hopefully we'll try to answer that question for you. It's a good question. I will tell you, Matt and I have been working that for 7-8 years now. It's been something we've worked lots of different ways trying to get. I think we're going to find hopefully some decisions tonight that will help us move in that direction. So cemetery is certainly on my mind, and I certainly like to see some action. So hopefully we'll have some answers for that. Okay? Okay. Yes. Comment.
Beacon at 2200 West.
Okay.
6,000 South. was
Go ahead.
mentioned.
Go ahead and make that announcement, because there were some efforts to try to help, because a comment about some of the issues we're having about guards and protection of our children and people transiting across 6,000 up there on 2200 South. I know the police department has been watching that. Interesting enough, after the announcement came out, I heard there was 6 tickets issued because people were traveling through while people were still on those crosswalks. And by the way, those are zebra crosswalks. Right. The law's clear on a zebra crosswalk. You cannot go into that crosswalk while somebody's in that cross area. The line stripe ones, usually you can allow them to get halfway through it. It's not too much problem, but those zebras, you can't enter that crosswalk. And a report I heard was we actually had to address 6 individuals who kind of violated the law right through there. So we'll watch that. But to Brian's point, and you brought it up in our last meeting, the city council approved to put what they call a beacon unit. These allow the individuals to push on both sides of beacon unit to allow them to notify the traffic at that location that there's somebody ready to cross that. That's been great for us on 4,000. It's certainly been great for us. A lot of places we've placed them. They're really great ways by which we can help protect our citizens and particularly our children. And so the city council last meeting did approve that, and Brandon is working that. It's about an 8-week process to get one ordered, and then he'll work diligently to get that installed hopefully based on weather, I assume. So be aware that the input that we do get, we take that seriously, and the council's been very supportive of where it's absolutely critical and necessary that they make those improvements. And so last meeting, we did approve that beacon at the 2200 West and 6000 South locations. So good place for it. Okay, again, I think I try to answer as much as I can. Some will be answered a little later in the meeting, so we'll watch for that. Again, we do appreciate your public comments. Hey, we got a couple of presentation items. We're going to have Michelle, I think you're going to help us with the Employee of the Month, so please.
Mayor, Council, thank you so much. I probably don't need to remind you guys of this, but in August 2024, the complex reopened its doors to full capacity. Needless to say, the staff was anxious to not only open the facility, but to revitalize the programs that the facility was known for. Specifically, what I believe our most important function is the life safety function of the facility in our swim lesson program. And with that, I'm going to ask Deputy Director Flint to come up and make the presentation for this.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Travis?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here with Annika Hislop. I'm excited to nominate Annika for Employee of the Month. In her first year as swim lesson supervisor, Annika has shown incredible leadership, a great attitude, and a real commitment to our aquatics program. Students, parents, and staff have all felt the difference she's made. Annika didn't inherit the award-winning program that we had before our pool closure. That program was created by Cindy Taylor over the last 38 years. After not having a swim program for several years, rebuilding everything from the ground up with an entirely new staff was a huge task for us all. We took a lot of pride in offering what we believe to be the best swimming lesson program around, and under the guidance of Cindy and Annika worked really hard with her team to keep that standard high. Even though this is her first year supervising, Annika jumped right in and quickly became an organized, reliable, and upbeat leader. She managed more than 18 instructors, making sure everyone had the support they needed to run smooth, high-quality lessons. Her focus on clear communication and teamwork helped create a positive, energetic vibe that lifted the whole department. What really stands out, though, is Annika's dedication to youth swimmers. This year, she helped teach and support over 1,000 students in nearly 200 classes, with as many as 6 classes going simultaneously. Giving lessons that were safe, encouraging, and genuinely fun. Her passion for helping swimmers of all ages feel confident in the water shows in every class she's part of. Families have shared tons of positive feedback, often highlighting her patience, professionalism, and ability to connect with kids. On top of all of that, Annika is always willing to step in whenever she is needed. As a lifeguard, water aerobics instructor, or office manager, she tackles challenges with a calm, friendly approach and consistently goes above and beyond. Her leadership has boosted both our day-to-day operations and overall experience for our swimming community. For all of these reasons and many more, I truly believe Annika Hislop deserves to be Employee of the Month.
Thank you, Travis. Okay, council comments? Please.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. We really appreciate you, and thank you for that.
Annika she's wonderful. We're lucky to have her.
Are you a Roy resident, Annika? I am not. No. So all my kids took swim lessons at the complex when they were little, so I'm glad that the program has been built back up again, and sounds like you did a great job doing that. So
I heard that correctly. 1,000? 1,000.
That's over 1,000 since
we reopened.
Since May.
Oh
wow!
Wow!
Yeah. Well, let me just say from behalf of the council, thank you so much. We've always wondered what the transition would be when the complex came out of the major modifications, the investments that were made. How will it adapt? What it will bring to the table? And it's a fabulous facility. So many major improvements, but it really, all of the aesthetics and how it looks and how it feels really doesn't make a difference unless it's really being utilized, by people like you who can really make a big difference in our public. And so to hear the comments, Travis, that you provided certainly is making us feel real glad that you, in fact, have been able to make it to be what it really was designed to be a great asset to Roy City. And so thank you. We appreciate the hard work. And I assume, is there a certificate that's going to be awarded? How about we do that? And then I just like, I can shake your hand, for your contribution to Roy City. Thank you. Thank you. Michelle, Travis, thank you. I think one of the great things about being a leader is you recognize achievement in the employees. And when you do that and you take it to this level, then I think it makes a big difference. So with that then, council, and I have an opportunity to do this, and that probably it's important to me, a motion then to approve Annika Heslop, okay, as the Employee of the Month for Roy City. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, and thank you for your service. Okay, we appreciate that. Okay, Amber, I think you're going to lead us in a conversation that talks about the audit.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. So our auditor, Ryan Child, was unable to make it tonight. So he's asked me to present the audit report to you. He was previously, we met at 4:30 and he was able to meet with the audit committee and go over the report with a few council members and staff here. So I'm trying to just reiterate his comments, a little more brief than what we had before. You should each have a copy of the audit report up there. It's also available on our website for anyone in the audience or listening online who would like to follow along with us. They can find that there. So if you will turn to page 11 of your report, the first thing I'd like to point out is our Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This was issued for our last year's report from the Government Finance Officers Association. And Roy City has a long-standing history of receiving this report every year. And this is significant to point out because we go above and beyond in our financial reporting. This certificate means that we are not only doing what the state requires, but we are going above and beyond and trying to write description in the report so it helps readers understand more than just look at the financial statements. So we will be submitting this report again this year and hope to receive the same achievement on this report. If you'll turn to page 13, this is one of 3 reports issued by the auditing firm. This is the independent auditor's report, and it expresses their opinions on the report. In the second paragraph, it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the government. So they have issued us a clean report in their audit that we didn't have anything to discuss. Next, if you'll turn with me to page 33. So page 33 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. You can see the 4 separate columns there. Our governmental funds include the general fund, which we mostly talk about. We also have the redevelopment agency, then the capital improvement fund, and then the other governmental funds. This includes our impact fees and our cemetery money. So the first column there, the general fund, if you go down to the bottom of the page, it discusses the fund balance of each of those. You can see the fund balance for the general fund is $13 million. If you go up above, it kind of breaks out what that $13 million is for. You have your inventory and prepaids, and then $7.7 million of that $13 million is restricted and can only be used for road projects. Down at the bottom, the $5.5 million, that is the unassigned fund balance that the city can use at their discretion as they wish. The state requires us to keep that between 5% and 35% of revenues for the year. This amount currently sits at 21%. If you'll go along, the RDA has a fund balance of $2.9 million. And then our capital improvement fund has $6.2 million. And if you look up above, it'll tell you what that is designated for. The $371,000 is what we have saved for public safety. This is for our fire apparatuses. $216,000 is for recreation. This is mostly things that were budgeted last year and we were not able to complete by the end of the year, so we will need to rebudget that in this current year. And then $5.6 million of that is available to spend on capital projects. And then for impact fees in the cemetery, there's $871,000 in their fund balance. If you'll turn to page 35, this is basically the income statement for the governmental funds. The first section goes over the revenues for the city. You'll see the total revenues for the general fund were at $25.9 million. And then the second section is the expenditures at $22.7 million. Our revenues were down $835,000 compared to last year, but our expenditures were also down $4.5 million compared to last year. So we were able to save quite a bit of money. A lot of that is related to roads. If you'll go down, the third from the bottom line says net change in fund balance. So this is compared to last year, how our fund balance is compared year over year. You'll see the general fund had an increase of $2.4 million. 1.6 million of this is restricted for roads, and then the remaining $750,000 is what we had carry over, and so this is our excess revenues over expenditures for the year. In comparison, we had about a $500,000 loss last year, so we were basically recouping the money that we were down last year. Moving along, the RDA increased their fund balance $262,000. Capital projects decreased $143,000, and the other governmental funds increased $199,000. To kind of give you an idea of what exactly is changing, if you'll kind of leave a finger in that page and turn to page 20. This is part of the discussion area, and it goes through and kind of outlines exactly what has changed through the year. So if you want to know this went up and down, but I want to know why, that's what this page does, is it will go through and detail exactly what went up and down. So a few highlights on that page, you'll see our sales tax increased $200,000, which is 2% over last year. About halfway down the page, our ambulance revenue was down $695,000 for the year. That's about 29%. That's mostly due to losing those servicing areas. Second to the bottom bullet point, our interest revenue. So our yield on investments in the Utah Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, it was at 4.8 this year. That was the average. Last year it was 5.3. So we did have a decrease of about $200,000 in interest income for the year over last year. And then the last bullet point, our total expenses for wages and benefits increased $500,000 compared to last year. That's about 3%, which I think is good to note because we were able to give the employees a 3% COLA. We were able to keep the merits in there of 2 to 3.75, and we also had a 4% increase in health insurance, but we were still able to keep our expenses at only a 3% increase over the prior year. Most of this will come from turnover. As employees retire, we have less expensive employees come into those positions, or as somebody leaves, we usually go a few weeks to a few months of that position being left vacant. The next page, 21, continues just some detail on the operating expenses. We decreased our operations by $887,000, or about 16% compared to last year. If you go down there, it shows all the departments and what they were able to decrease. We did have that 7.5% everybody cut out of their operating budgets, so you can see those decreases here for each department. The only one that increased was the complex, and that's because they were not open the prior year, so they did have expenses this year, and theirs increased. The reason it was more than the 7.5 is mostly related to the last bullet point, which is roads, which we did decrease $700,000, just not having projects that we did this year compared to last year. If you look at that chart in the middle of the page, I think this is kind of interesting. It just shows charges for services compared to expenses, and it separates it out by category. So the lighter column is our expenses, and then the darker is the program revenues. So this isn't taxes, but this is what we are charging the residents for things, building permits, recreation fees, things like that. So you can see where our expenses are more than our revenues. The difference between those columns, that's what the taxes provide to supplement that difference there. So you can see like public works where they are more even. Public safety, they are being subsidized mostly by taxes because they don't charge as much for revenues compared to what they cost. So I thought that was interesting. If you will turn to page 83. Pages 83 and 84 give you a little more detail of where exactly the savings came from for each line item. So the first column is our original budget, next is our final budget, and then our actual numbers that we spent, and then the last column shows you what we saved or what we were over budget on. So you can go through that last column and see what we were up on revenues, what we lost money on revenues compared to the prior year. And then down further is all of the expenses. So you can go through each department and see how much each department was able to save. It just gives you a little more detail. And then continuing on the next page goes through all of those different departments. Okay, so that completes the general fund. If you will flip back to page 37, we go to our business type activities. These would be our utility funds. So we have the water and sewer fund, the storm sewer fund, solid waste fund, and then we have 2 internal service funds. So the top line there will show you the cash for each one of those funds. And then if you look at the next page, 38, you can compare that to the total current liabilities. You want to make sure you have enough cash to cover your liabilities that are due in the next year. So you can see that our cash is well above what is due in the next year for each one of those funds. And And then it has total liabilities there as well. We do have very little debt in the city, and that is a very good thing. The only one we have is the water fund has the revenue bonds, and those will be paid off in the next 3 years. And so then we wouldn't have any debt payable. The third to last line, you'll see where it says net position and then unrestricted. This is kind of like the utility fund's fund balance is kind of what this is. So you can see the water and sewer fund is at 4.5 million, storm sewer at 2.3 million, solid waste at 4.7, and then the internal service funds at 1.8 million. If you'll turn to page 39, these are the income statements for those utility funds. So about halfway down the page, it has operating income or loss. If you go along that line, you'll see those are all positive. So each of the utility funds did have a positive net income for the year. The water and sewer fund had a net income of $2 million. We did raise rates last year. If you remember, we're planning on replacing the water line on 3,500. So they did have quite a big net income for the year, so we can say for that. And then the other ones were pretty modest increases. Storm sewer fund at $165,000, solid waste $26,000, and then the internal service ones are $27,000. So they are charging appropriately. Their revenues are matching pretty closely to what their expenditures are. The last two reports I want to point out, page 137, all the way at the very end of the book. 137 and 139 are the last two reports that are issued by the auditing firm. The first one is their report on internal controls over financial reporting for the city. And then the second one on page 139 is their report on compliance, and this is specifically on state compliance, so how we are compliant with what the state requires us to do. And you'll see in the middle of the page the following areas that they specifically look at to make sure that we are following state code and we were compliant in all of those areas. And then very last but most important, we did not have any findings for the year. So, yay.
Which is a great thing.
Which is a great thing. So,
Okay.
do you have any other questions about the
Council,
audit report?
comments, questions?
I just want to say great job, Amber.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Amber. Let me just summarize just a couple of things I wanted to take away from this, Council. Excited to see finally sales tax revenue moving. Last year we were at a negative 0.43, so we were actually dropping. But to have a 2.63 increase in sales tax revenue is a good thing. And I think what we talked about, because they went to the Utah Population Committee to start managing our population numbers. And if you've heard me say in the past, sales tax revenue is generated by two sources. One is certainly the point of sale. So if the sale takes place in Roy, then we get a portion of that sales tax. But the other one is based on population. And we had dropped 1,500 people in the city, and they got away from the U.S. Census data and went to what they call the Utah Population Committee, and they actually raised our population numbers back up a bit, which was very helpful. And now I think we're starting to see a little stability, a better stability in terms of our sales tax revenue. So that's perfect. I'm excited about that. The other thing I want to basically point out, if I can, there was an increase in our fund balances. The combined fund balance was $2.7 million. That's a good thing, okay? We had some increase there. But one thing I want to point out is that the unassigned fund balance, and you know what the unassigned is, so it isn't going to Brandon on streets and whatever. This is monies that the city council can, in fact, use to be able to do things, lots of things. And it went up $716,000. So we had $716,000 of revenue that got carried over onto the unassigned, fund balance that raised us up to whatever the number is right now. I think you said 5.5 million. It was 4.7 million prior to that. So that's a good thing. The question is going to be is how are we going to use that money now that you have more revenue into the city? And the council need to be thinking about that. But $716,000 increase was a good thing, and helps us on a number of levels. So, Amber, I'm just going to say thank you. Your fingerprints are all over this, okay? I know Ryan was excited when he was able to tell us in the meeting. He's the auditor. His company audited this. He was excited to tell us that Roy C. is doing it right, and it continues to do it right. And I can't help to think that maybe that makes it, certainly makes it a lot better for us. And having no findings perfect. Amber, you did good. Your team did good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay? And do me one favor, if you would. Just verify that this report, it is a public document. Just make sure it's on the website, okay?
Yes, Brittany put it on yesterday. Yeah, so it is.
Did you get it on today? Okay, I just want to make sure that, because sometimes having an audit report to people who's just interested, okay? This is public information, and I think it's important we make sure that's available, okay, to the people to see it, so. You find it?
It is on the website.
Okay, so please, if you have people have interest, pull it off of there, but again, Amber, thank you so much.
What category is it under on the?
So if you're on the homepage, if you go to departments and then the finance and city treasurer, there's two tabs that
Annual budget,
auto-populate with annual audit and annual budget. And so you would click the audit one and there's an archive of all of the audits there.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you so much. And couldn't be more pleased, Amber, so thank you. Okay. Council, you need to just figure out how you want to address the $716,000 that we got in more revenue than we planned for. So that's a great thing. Okay, any other comments or questions? I'm going to ask for approval then of the audit. Any comments or questions? Okay, then can I have a motion then to approve the 2025 audit report?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, do I have a second? Thank you. Brian, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Okay, the audit report's approved. Again, Amber, thank you so much, okay? We have some resolutions we're going to push through, and I think, Brandon, you're going to take the first one. This is Resolution 25-28, a resolution for Roy City Council adopting an interlocal agreement between Roy Water Conservative District and the Roy City relating to installation of certain equipment. So if you can walk us through that. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor and Council, thanks for having me tonight. Like the mayor stated, this is an interlocal agreement between Roy Water Conservancy District and Roy City. And what it is they want to place 2 meter reading facilities, one at the Aquatic Center and one at our 4,000 pump house. So this is giving them the ability to read their meters remotely. So they just want to, I guess, have the latitude to be able to place them on our property. So
And where was the second one? I know the Aquatic Center
so the
was?
Aquatic Center and then the 4,000, the
4,000?
Water tower.
At the tank?
Water tank.
Perfect.
And so this will benefit us also, because if we ever do go to the remote meter reading system, we'll be able to utilize these towers as well. So it is kind of a good thing to have these, and then that will save us money down the road if we decide to go that route.
Okay, so just for clarification, Roy Water Conservative District wants to put the towers in so they can get data links, because I know they're metering everything and they're putting sensors on top of those meters. Their intent would be is to allow them to have almost real-time accurate readings on water consumption through those towers back to their main facility.
So yeah, it's just basically an antenna that reads way up in the air that can read all the meters and then send
Okay.
it back to the computer. And yeah.
Perfect, okay.
So.
And oh, by the way, I think, Matt, you and I have worked this a little bit. Roy Water Conservative District is not going to charge on metering until 2030, I think is the date that we've been told. So they're getting everything set. They may even be offering at some point in time where you can see water consumption usage, but they're not billing based on water consumption. They're just reporting. I think that's where they are today until 2030. I think that's the last report. Okay. But the last part that Brandon brought up, and I think this is important. Today, Brandon, you drive around because our water meters actually have similar devices on it. You
Yeah.
drive around and collect it rather than read the meters.
So we have what's called an AMR system, which is we drive the truck around and it reads the meters without having to get out. And the new system that we would like to go to eventually is the AMI system, which can read it just off an antenna. But we have explored it, and it's roughly about $500,000 because we have to convert the radios, because we run a 5-watt radio, and they need to be converted to like a 1-watt radio. So
Okay. So by us approving this, council, bottom line would be Roy City could see some benefit in the future by which we could take advantage using the same system. So Okay, any other questions for Brandon?
And it's at no cost.
Right.
Of us.
No
Yeah.
cost
Yep.
to us, yeah. So, and then they also have an antenna at their facility that they offered up as well, as if we just if we go that route, we can utilize their antenna. So, but yeah, no cost to the city, and I think they're roughly spending about $300,000.
Yeah, I remember talking to him. Yeah, at the barbecue, it was.
So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, council, comments or questions?
That's cool.
Okay, with that then, do I have a motion then to approve consideration resolution 25-28, a resolution of the Roy City Council adopting an interlocal agreement between Roy Water Conservative District and the Roy City relating to the installation of certain equipment, in this case, towers.
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Scadden,
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Okay, council, resolution 25-28 is approved. Thanks, Brandon. Consideration resolution 25-29, a resolution of the Roy City Council adopting an interlocal agreement between the Second District Juvenile Courts of Utah and Roy City relating to Community Service Work Program. Matt Wilson, I think you're leading this conversation. Please.
I am. Thank you, Mayor. So this is something that our police chief, Chief Gwynn, was working on with the courts for some time. Finally able to get this ready to that point to bring to council. Basically, it allows us to, I guess, rejoin this program. We used to, it was before my time here, where we're able to bring in juveniles who are at the Second District Court or involved there in one way or another, may have some community service to do, and something we can utilize, either cleaning different trails, parks, cleaning up graffiti and addressing those issues. And it's no cost to us. We're not supervising. We just have a point of contact to help direct the projects. So.
Okay.
Does that mean they have their own equipment and everything?
Equipment, they may have some. We may provide some equipment. It just depends. But yeah, and it also, I should add, it's not just for Roy City property. It's also for the benefit of property owners, citizens, private citizens. They are able to utilize that as well.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. I didn't know
It
that.
depends. I should just give you that classic answer.
Yeah, and I like it, to be honest with you. Council, if you may remember a few months ago, this discussion come up, we've seen some graffiti problems in the city, and I remember many years ago, we had a similar program that kind of dissolved, and Chief Gwynn and Matt Wilson obviously now have been able to resurrect that, and looks like we have an agreement in front of us to basically get something to happen here. So we certainly do have some graffiti problems. We certainly have some other areas that can make improvements, and it looks like we can allow the courts to help us with community service to help us fix some of that. So, and I like the idea if we can do both private and public spaces, so that's good.
Yep.
Okay. The only thing I would say, Matt, we just need a mechanism by which where there may have been damage done, that we can collect that information. So if we do have opportunities to have some things fixed based on people's public fences or private fences or whatever, that we know about those, so that we can probably muster some people there to help. So something we'll have to work on that. But hey, that's my thoughts. Comments?
Well,
Council?
I was just thinking if those, I mean, always there's probably going to be community service. All the cities around us use the same thing?
So I'm aware of Ogden City and Layton City both use
And
it.
so are they kids just from Weaver County or just?
It would
okay.
be anyone in the Second District Juvenile Court, which covers Weaver County and Davis County and Morgan as well.
And so if they are working on a project and they get injured, then we're not liable for anything if they're.
Yep, there will be a waiver which is included in the packet that they would sign as well, releasing any liability, and also the Second District Court, state of Utah, would be indemnifying us as well.
If they're
This
doing,
is great. I was just saying this is a great idea because the more word gets spread around, if you get in trouble, you have to work hard to get paid off. And I think this is a great idea. So,
if they are doing like restitutions, say, fence damage or things like that, where does the money come to maybe do solid items that need to be replaced or stuff?
So that's something that's part of the prosecution, which we would not be involved in the district court or in the juvenile court. It's the county that would be the county attorney's office is the ones that prosecute those cases, and that's if you're able to identify and proceed with the prosecution. They do have another program that doesn't necessarily reach prosecution at the juvenile court. That's for first-time offenders with lower level offenses.
So what's the age limit on the juvenile court? What, like, age from what to what? Do you have any clue?
I do. It's been a few years since I prosecuted in the juvenile court, but they continue to change it. It depends on the crime. For most crimes, it's to the age of 18. There are some circumstances where they maintain jurisdiction over juveniles until 25. So.
And then what's the youngest age?
So it just depends on the nature of the crime as well. Generally, you don't prosecute under 12 unless it's a very heinous crime. Just depends because you have to be able to form the intent, which now we're getting outside of the agreement, but I'm happy to have those conversations with you.
Just give us the it depends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good questions, Ann. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, council? I will indicate to you, Michelle, I know you've helped us in this. We've had some recent damage to some of the city's assets, and we're able to, in some cases, identify individuals who may be responsible and push that. And the important part we want to do is we certainly, as those happen, we certainly want to make sure that the interest of a public is taken care of. And if the courts decide that there is in fact going to be restitution, we certainly want to make sure that the restitution covers the expenses that we in fact incur, and we do expend a lot of money fixing damage. So this is really a good thing, okay, in a lot of different ways. So thank you for all those involved in that. Any other comments, questions, council? Okay, then do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 25-29, a resolution by the Roy City Council adopting interlocal agreement between the Second District Court Juvenile Courts, the Second District Juvenile Court of Utah, and Roy City relating to community service work programs?
So moved.
Thank you, Ann. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Diane. This is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden,
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Council. Resolution 25-29 is approved. Okay, we have consideration of Resolution 25-30. This is a resolution by Roy City Council authorizing exchange of certain real property as consistent with state law and the policy, and authorizing execution of real estate exchange and purchase agreement to exchange certain real property and providing an effective date. Brody would normally take the lead on this. He is obviously not available. And so Matt Wilson, I believe you're going to lead the conversation on this before we go into a public hearing.
That's correct. And I know we do have I don't know necessarily applicant, I guess the exchanger, one of the exchangers of property here. And I know he's anxious to proceed with this. But this is part two, as will the next item be. Part two of a discussion that we started 2 weeks ago attached to that development agreement. This is the one that is exchanged for other property, and you will see there is the track changes version of the agreement that says it includes at least 4 acres, which is contiguous to the land that will be donated to the city. That way they're next to each other and it would be more beneficial for us that way. But this is exchange of our real property in exchange for another piece of property that would benefit both parties. I don't know if the council has many questions for me. I'm happy to answer those. And like I said, I know we do have Brad Brown here to also, I don't know if he planned on speaking, I'll put him on the spot. No. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's something that would, and also there isn't going to be anything that is tied to the property, any deed restrictions or anything. So it's something that the city could use for any city uses in the future, which could potentially include a cemetery.
Okay.
I have a question in regards to, I noticed that if nothing is initiated within 12 or 15 months, depending on the time frame, then it reverts back to the city. And I was wondering, as part of that, and I didn't see it, and maybe it's here, is there a specific time frame if they do initiate that it needs to be completed, or how does the completion work on a project like this?
So there's not. It's more generally once they start. I think that's probably more of a question for Brad, but we don't address that because when they start these projects, they have at least some incentive to get moving on it and get it done.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And this, before we go into public hearing on that, I just want to make sure that the original intent of this type of an agreement would be is that we're going to give up some land that's on the south side and close to 4,000 and acquire some land on the north end. I think that's kind of the strategy. In this case, Roy City has about 8 acres. A big piece of that 8 acres is actually under retention basin, as you well know, and that's required for us to capture as much of the storm runoff as we can. But there is a smaller piece that's attached to that, and that the intent would be is that through this agreement exchange, we would get 4 acres on the north end of that property, and then we have at least a verbal commitment that the owner of the property wants to donate to Roy City 2.5 acres. So the net increase of the land at that location was anticipated to be about 6.5 acres. And it was with that 6.5 acres that we were anticipating a conversation in the future that could bring about a cemetery, which is where we'd like to see the focus of that. But just recognize that's a city council decision for the future, as Matt indicated, and the city council of the future could honestly says, I want to do something else with it. But at least going in, it was kind of a going-in strategy on our part to consider that land for a future cemetery. So that kind of sets the foundation. I'd like then, if we can, have a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Okay. All in favor of going into a public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We're now in a public hearing. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the mic, give us your name, address, and share with us whatever you liked about this property. Any thoughts?
Hello, Deanne Chaston, 3751 West, 5575 South.
Thank you.
First, this land belongs to Roy residents. Please be extremely careful in dealings with our land, as land in Roy is scarce. Every bit of city property should be used for the good of taxpayers, not necessarily developers. I want to point out that this agenda item technically contemplates exchanging 8.27 acres of Roy property for 4 acres of the developer's land, in hopes of getting a donation of another 2.5 acres, which the mayor just explained. It concerns me that the donation is not a matter of legal contract yet, but I understand that that may be to come and contingent on this transaction. But however you slice it, Roy will be getting less land in this exchange. Since this land swap would technically result in less acreage and include no exchange of money, in a time where every penny counts, it deserves some scrutiny. In previous meetings, staff has said that the pluses are Roy would get land that can actually be used as a new cemetery. Their current land at 2400 West, 4000 South is a detention basin, not currently suitable for use as a cemetery. I appreciate the broker price of opinion provided. I'm not quite sure where I read that. I can't find it, but I know I've seen it. It gives the public some idea of the value of this land and lends credibility to staff's opinion that the city would actually come out ahead in this deal. The developer's agreement to pay for a public street leading to the 6.5 acre cemetery sweetens the deal even more. However, as the mayor alluded to in past council meeting, percolation test results would determine the actual capacity of the future cemetery. It would be great if the developer could actually provide those test results before this land swap is approved. I also hope the donation can be legally secured instead of just hoped for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, then do I have a motion then to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we're out of a public hearing. Thank you for the input. Obviously, it's important that we capture the ideas and things that maybe we didn't think about. Council, any questions for the developer or Matt? Comments? Questions?
My understanding is that even when we approve this, it's still contingent on a couple of things. And so if the donation doesn't come through and some of those other things, then it wouldn't go through. Is that correct? Just to reassure.
Yes, it's just like the development agreement was contingent on several items. This is basically just part of that process. As we stated previously, they still have to go through the planning process and all of that. It doesn't then override any of that, so there'd still be those public meetings and whatnot. But this is second step of many.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other comments?
We, as a council, it's been probably a decade, we've chased a cemetery, and the public's right. There's not a lot of land left, but this is our one great hope of putting together a deal that would bring us a cemetery, a new cemetery that is larger than the current cemetery that is spoken for. And there's a lot of people in Roy that live and die here, and this is where they want to be. And we as a council should offer them that right. And this is a golden opportunity. Yeah, it's a lot of the ankle bone is connected to the knee bone, but it's something that we've really chased for a long time. Before I ran for office 6 years ago, my wish was a new cemetery and a movie theater. And we did everything we could for a movie theater. We really did. We had movie people come in and tell us how great our popcorn was, but it never panned out. And I want you guys to know that this cemetery, this is something that we can all get behind. And it can make our plots more affordable. So I'm for it. Usually I don't like taking big risks. I'm a fraidy cat. But in this case, this is it. This is our chance. Anyway, I thought I'd share that.
Thank you, Brian. Brian, great words. And certainly all of us have been involved. We've certainly had a lot of public input for us over the years in doing this. I will indicate Matt and I worked agreements with UTA to let this happen, to get this thing set up. And so we're excited about it, but we recognize, as Matt Wilson said, it certainly is a city council decision. As much as I'd like to get that into agreement today, we really shouldn't and can't do that. It will be based on the future city council, what they want to do, but we certainly would want to encourage it. And I think the comment about having some type of a survey could very well be a question that we ask that. You know, what does the public want? And we may get the results that we got quite a few years ago with the previous survey that 67% of the residents would like to have a new cemetery. So it's certainly something we should consider. But the key here now is that on Resolution 25-30 is, in fact, are we willing to do the exchange? And so that's the focus of this resolution. And at this moment, I guess bottom line would be, is any other comments before I call for a motion?
No, I think it's a great thing too. I mean, I have probably 25 plots sold the minute we get a cemetery. And
Yeah.
I've had neighbors that wanted to be buried in Roy who passed away.
Yeah.
And according, maybe by the water table, we might be able to have 2 or 3 on
Right.
top of each other. And so I think it'll be sold out pretty fast. But I think it's a great thing. I mean, like you said, we've been looking at this land and talking about this one area for as long as I've been on the council.
Yep.
And I think this is, like, we don't have any other land that we can put a cemetery in Roy. And I think it's just, I agree with Brian. It's a great,
Yeah, great comment, Ann. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, and to the question about perk test, at some point in time that needs to be done. So Matt, I'm not sure whether we do that or whether the developer does that at some point in time. Estimate I heard many years ago, it's 17 feet. Certainly there might be some options, but that certainly would be part of, as Ann suggested, giving us an idea of what we can and how much of a cemetery we can make happen there.
Yeah. We did a perk test quite a while ago, 5-6 years ago, and it was pretty deep. The question is going double deep on the lots, so.
Yeah. So let's walk, we're walking a lot of steps, as Matt indicated. This is the second of a number of steps that we need to work through. So I think the ultimate gain will be as we'll try to work towards that. So with that, any other comments? Okay, do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 25-30, a resolution of Roy City Council authorizing exchange of certain real property as consistent to state law and policy, and authorize the execution of real estate exchange and purchase agreement to exchange certain real property and provide an effective date? Do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 25-30?
So moved.
Ryan, okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson,
I,
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden.
Aye.
Okay. Council, thank you. Resolution 25-30 is approved, okay? Okay, we got now Resolution 25-31, a resolution by Roy City Council authorizing exchange of certain real property as consistent with state law and policy, and authorizing the execution of real estate exchange and purchase agreement to exchange certain real property and provide an effective date. Matt Wilson, you're going to lead us on this one as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm quite sure that these two got together to confuse me because we have Brad Brown on the previous one and we have Bob Barnes here, and I'm just going to call them both BB to make it easy, but just kidding. So this one is property not too far from that. I was trying to find the address and I can't get it right off the top of my head here, but this one is an exchange where we're providing the property. We're not receiving real property back, but they are going to be upgrading the detention pond and increasing the capacity. This one does have the contingencies as well, as laid out in the development agreement, that all of this is contingent upon the approval of the detention basin, that it's going to be approved by our engineer and inspected as well. There were some changes that the developer had recommended, that was including a force majeure provision in here. That's not in this. I don't think that's substantive. I'm happy to read those changes for council. I have no legal concerns with their changes there, but the force majeure's provision basically that says in the event of a pandemic or global conflict, acts of God, things like that, then their timeline is continued. It doesn't then still trigger that period, and they're able to come back within a reasonable time and then still perform that work. So.
Makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Just for clarification, this is Roy City owns retention basin on Midland. Right next to that retention basin is property owned by UDOT. At this moment, we get nothing from that property. There's no revenue, nothing. We just own it. And we found out through the plan developer that even the retention pond that we have right there is underdeveloped to what it needs to be. So there's a lot of things that's involved with this process that could very well be a great benefit to Roy City. So with that, I'd like to have a motion then to open a public hearing to discuss Resolution 25-31.
So moved.
That was Sophie, okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, we're now in a public hearing to consider the Resolution 25-31. Anybody like to share a thought, please walk up to the mic and give us your name and address.
Hello, Deanne Chaston, 3751 West, 5575 South. So some of this is a little bit of a repeat, but as mentioned before, this land is land that belongs to Roy residents. Please be extremely careful in dealings with our land, as land in Roy is scarce. Every bit of city property should be used for the good of taxpayers, not necessarily the developers. Since this land swap would include no exchange of money, in a time where every penny counts, it deserves some scrutiny. So after looking through the packet and attending several meetings, I am unclear on the size or acreage of Roy's property on 4000 South next to AutoZone, as well as its present value. However, my own parcel search shows that it is 0.61 acres and has a market value of $405,217. According to the developer and the 3 engineering firms he consulted, the detention pond is massively undersized. It right now can hold 27,000 cubic feet of stormwater, but it needs to hold closer to 55,000. So, has the city consulted their own engineers to verify this? Or are we just going to trust the developer? Why is this detention pond currently so undersized? And what harm could that potentially cause to the public if it's not corrected? Perhaps because of a past oversight, a mistake, or a budgeting issue, this land is worth less, and now the public will get less money for their land. Does the council know what that land is worth? And was that accounted for in the negotiations? The developer claims that burying and increasing stormwater detention there would cost between $900,000 to $1.4 million. Has the city verified these numbers? Or again, are we just going to trust the developer? These may be questions that have been answered in negotiations and closed meetings, but the public deserves to have these answers as well. We want to make sure you are doing your fiduciary duties with our land. I just haven't seen enough information to convince me yet, but maybe you have. Please vote appropriately.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the input. Anybody else like to share a thought? Name and address, please.
Shelley Polston, 3667 West, 4550 South. I have just recently started coming to check up on everybody that's running Roy. And I don't know a lot about this, but I did listen at the last city council meeting. My concern is they're throwing you a cookie for this retention pond, but they want to build all these apartments. If they're willing to throw you a cookie for a retention pond, why are you not asking for an endowment for police and fire who are going to be needed more because you're building hamster cages for people? And that I'm really opposed to. This is a community, it's not projects. And I've been in the projects in New York and Chicago. And that's exactly what you're gonna have if you continue with hamster cages for people. But I think you should be asking for more. If they want in here that bad, because they'll build anywhere. They don't care. They just want money, and that's the bottom line. So.
Okay, thank you for your input. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought? Okay, name and address, please.
I am Kevin Homer. I live at 5398 South, 4000 West here in Roy. I wanted to mention just a little bit about Resolution 2530. I appreciate your affirmative vote on that. I do appreciate the comments that have been made so far. There are some very good things mentioned there. I know there's not a lot of time left for this city council. They may have to be addressed in the future when we have a new council incoming. There are some good points that should be discussed. Some things that we already know about, some that we don't, but we would do well to look into those things. As far as Resolution 2531, I would support it, and I would urge you to vote on the affirmative with that. Hopefully, it really does need to be, I know it, you can't tie a future city council to something including creating a city cemetery, but that needs to happen. For me, I'm probably never going to make use of a cemetery. I would love to be cremated and strapped to a rocket and then thrown toward the sun. That's my goal. My wife doesn't share that goal, but I'll try to convince her between now and then. But please vote in the affirmative on 2531.
Thank you for that comment. Name and address, please.
Garrett Chaston, 3751 West, 5575 South, Roy, Utah. I'd just like to second what Shelley was saying, that I just don't agree with any approval in any city of any apartment complexes or condos or the like. Just because, same reasons Shelley was saying, building apartment complexes like what we see in New York City and Chicago, it's just communism, and it's not the American way, in my opinion. The American dream, in my opinion, is everyone gets a home and a backyard where your dog and children can run free. Putting everyone in hamster cages is not really cool. I mean, if you look at places like Foxconn in China, where people live where they make all the iPhones, they literally kill themselves every day, like suicide, because they can't handle it. And when we become like China, we'll just see suicide skyrocket. So I just don't agree with any approval of any apartment complexes at all, because God didn't design us to live in a cage. And I mean, you can go look at, a monkey in a cage. They don't want to be in that cage. If monkeys don't want to, neither do us.
Okay, thank you for your input. Okay, any other thoughts, comments? Okay, well, thank you so much. Then council, do I have a motion then to go out of a public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, we're out of a public hearing. Council comments to Matt or the proposed developer?
Well, I think that people have to have somewhere to live, and not everybody can afford the American dream and have a home and a yard. And I have lots of friends that live in apartments. That's all they can afford. I don't consider them rodents, but I just feel that people have to have somewhere to live and be able to use this property. And I'd never even heard of this before, where you can take a retention pond and they can fill it, they can put the metal in there to hold the water and build on top of it. That is just a new technology they just came up with. Otherwise, this land was wasted and sitting there, and nobody had offered us anything for this. And by filling that in and be able to build on top of it, we will have some income from that, and it will only give us more revenue into the city, because they'll use all of our resources that we have in the city. And as fire and police, it's not like they all will go to one place in the same time with any apartment complex. I just think it's a good thing for the city, because like the mayor said, we're getting nothing out of that land. And until they came up with this I did to be able to fill that retention pond in and use it. I mean, with the barrel or whatever they put in there to do it, I think this is a win-win situation, so.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Anybody else have a comment, ideas? Brian, you're thinking you'd like to say something.
I am.
Please.
I think that it's a win-win-win because I thought this exchange would make it so that we'd add roughly 12 commercial properties to Midland with this. Am I right? Am I daydreaming?
I do not know for sure, but that is something that I think was addressed in the development agreement that was approved.
Then we will, because it'll put the properties along Midland,
Yeah.
and it would be commercial property that would generate the sales tax that would prevent us from having to raise taxes in the future. So I'm for it. Anyway.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Other comments? Okay, with that then, council, do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 25-31, a resolution by the Roy City Council authorizing exchange of certain property as consistent with state law and policy and authorizing the execution of real estate exchange and purchase agreement to exchange certain real property and to provide an effective date?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And, okay, this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden.
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Okay, council, thank you. Resolution 25-31 is approved. Now we have our city manager and council report. Matt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Hey, can I interrupt for a second? He has to leave and wanted to know if they could do theirs
Yes,
talk first.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because he's supposed to leave at 7.
I think we're at the right point, so
3 minutes,
please.
go.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me come again. Very appreciate it. And today I'm just going to be talking about stuff that's going on at Roy High. And overall, during the month of December, we do Sub for Santa. It's just a way to raise money for the students and the kids at Roy High and the family so then they can have Christmas too. And my SBO PR and service is here, and he's going to elaborate on this a little bit more because he knows more about it because he's in charge of it. He's going to come and elaborate more about it.
Okay, make sure you give us your name.
Hello, I am Henrik Holbert, and as Aaron said, I am the SBO over PR and service at the high school, Roy High. I'd just like again to thank you guys for letting us be here and kind of giving us a voice. So yeah, at Roy High, we have our fundraiser Sub for Santa. It's to help students and families in Roy who are struggling during the holiday season. Every dollar we raise goes directly towards giving those kids a Christmas they might not otherwise have. This year, we're working to help around 30 families in the Roy community.
Oh, good.
We have some upcoming events that anybody in the community can kind of help the cause. We have our Bardi Wranglers performance this Thursday, December 4th. The Bardi Wranglers will be performing here in Roy. All proceeds from the show will go directly to Sub for Santa, making major impact on how many families we can support. And then this next Saturday, and then this next Saturday, the 6th, and then the next Saturday, the 13th, we will be outside of Dilly Dally's and Walgreens here in Roy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we'll be just accepting donations in general. We're grateful for every bit of support from the community. These efforts directly help Roy students and families and make sure they make a real difference during the holidays. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Other ideas,
I
comments?
wanted to make one comment. We helped, I think, 40 families. We fed Thanksgiving dinner with Sub for Santa. All the faculty contributed money, and then we had a company donate all the turkeys. And then we have to listen to this really horrible song every day in
Yeah.
between classes called I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas to annoy the kids that they'll donate to every class period. And once they hit a certain goal, the song will be taken off of the halls because it's annoying. But they come around to every class how many times a week?
We do every B day, so it's either 3 times a week or 2 times a week.
And they collect money, and then that all goes towards it also. So they're doing a really great job and trying to provide for families for Christmas. So we have a real need at Roy High for those families. So
And then with that, what Henrik said is we'd like to thank Dilly Dallies and Walgreens for letting us come and like get money there because we had a really hard time finding businesses in Roy that would actually let us come because a lot of places just kept denying us. So we really appreciate Dilly Dallies and Walgreens for letting us come.
Okay, anything else you'd like to share with us?
That's it. Thank you.
We're excited, and thank you for joining us, okay? And to Ann's comment, during some wars, there were, torture that can take place, and we certainly know that Roy High does not torture its students, okay? To get funding, but never heard that before. That's quite interesting.
when you hear that all day long as torture,
Ann's like, make it stop.
I mean, you hear all the teachers coming in complaining about it. It's like, oh, they'll give any money to get rid of it.
Interesting strategy. Thank you, okay? And certainly if you have to go, we understand, but thank you for joining us tonight. Great message. Matt, you want to lead us on a couple of other important things?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of things. One, save the date for next Thursday, December 11th at 1 p.m. We have the opportunity to go help feed the seniors next door at the Hope Center for their Christmas party. And then also, we are planning on holding the December 16th council meeting, so please make yourselves available for that. And the last one is not an announcement, but more of a question. A few months ago, we decided to do the Halloween contest for the residents, and I just want to ask you that question of doing the Christmas lights contest for the residents this year, if you would like us to proceed with that.
Looking for some direction here, council.
I
Thoughts?
100% think we should do it. I mean, what great participation in the Halloween. I've never seen so many houses decorated, and I know there's already been interest and people wanting to know if we're going to do the Christmas, and if we do the certificates for their awards. Again, we're not out any money. All we have to do is go around and judge. I mean, Brittany has to give us the list to go around, and she's such a wonderful recorder and does such a good job to help us out with that. But I'm all for doing it. Are you guys?
I enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, I think you got a heads up. Brittany, if you don't mind helping us again, as you always do, and we'll make sure we do our part. So thank you. Okay. Matt, anything else?
No, that's it.
Perfect. Council, anything you'd like to bring up? Anything you see you think we need?
Well, big hurrah to the tree lighting. I thought
Yes.
that was very nice. So thank you very much. There were a lot of teams involved in that, and we really appreciate it. It is always fun to have the involvement and that participation. Thank you.
And I just wanted to say thanks for that also. And the winner on Gingerbread House, I mean, I still read the newspaper, and it was a picture of it, of the winner of the Roy City.
Front page.
Front page, Gingerbread House. And it was,
Fire
I think, the
department.
warmest weather we've ever had at a tree
Yeah.
lighting ceremony. And the kids did such a great job singing and performing. And I just wanted to thank all of the departments for just a great year of all their service, of everything they've done. You just have, I can't tell you when, as a council, and we handed out some hams to all of the, Diane spearheaded it, and to all of the employees to tell them how grateful we are for all the hard work that they do. And I can't tell you how many employees said that how much they love Roy City and they wouldn't want to work anywhere else. And they just have that feeling of community and just, so that made us feel really good to hear that comments back from the employees. So anyway.
Okay, great comment. And Diane, anything else? Council? Okay, with that then, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So thank you, Sophie. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. We are adjourned. Thank you. And thank you for attending.
I could have like pushed through this. Yes.
So one more meeting, Mayor. One more meeting.
Double deep or something, I'm not gonna.